Happy Sunday, yo, yo, yo. Jason with the Simpademic. I'm going to talk about two different particular subjects that involve numbers today. And so, Professor Simpademic is going to go through a couple of things here in regards to where the math doesn't necessarily math, as far as dating and relationships is concerned. And the first one I'm going to discuss is in regards to dating apps. The second one I'm going to discuss is in regards to relationships as a whole. So let's get this thing started, and Professor says class is in session. And the first one, of course, is the dating apps. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to probably go into it a little bit longer this time, and that is what men experience on dating apps versus what women experience on dating apps. And the math does kind of math here, but the math picture is not very good, and women don't understand it. So here it goes. The average man on a dating app of average attractiveness, such as myself, on a dating app, which is why I don't even do these, by the way, has to swipe right 200 times just to get a single match. And it usually winds up being a coffee date or something like that. So 200 for one. If they get 5 coffee dates, they will get ghosted 4 times. So in order to get one legitimate match on a dating app, an average man, a man of average appearance, has to swipe right 1,000 times. Now I know that rejection isn't pleasant, but this is rejection on Armageddon scale. You know, these men probably literally feel like they're literally in hell. And women do not understand this. What they do is they'll go back to the men and beg, do better, be better. You know, get better dressed, get, better hair, get better skin. And they'll just say, do better. Well, the problem is, if it's still an average looking man, they're going to do all those things and the results are not going to change. Even some of the apps themselves have done studies on these things, and here's some more math for you. If you get 100 women and 100 men together, say in some random group within a dating app, what's going to happen is that 88 of the women are going to give all of their attention to 4 of the men. So 88 out of 100 will give their attention to 4 out of the 100 men, which leaves 96 men to be in the other situation I described before, getting swiped right on and blocked. This is not a pretty situation. This is why I will tell every man to a T, don't do dating apps. Just don't do it. Because you're going to wind up being disappointed. You're going to wind up being destroyed every single time. So just don't do it. Hypergamy runs rampant on these apps. Hypergamy, as I've said before, is a biological wiring of women. However, in this particular modern culture, it's kind of gone on steroids. So, if you're a man, if you're on a dating app, I highly suggest you delete your account immediately after watching this episode. Because you will get nowhere other than a bunch of disappointment and heartache. So if you've got Bumble, you've got Hinge, you've got Tinder, just get off. Delete your accounts today. Because that's going to be a result, and even the dating apps themselves have numbers to prove it. So that is subject number 1. Subject number 2 is relationships as a whole, and the professor has some hard numbers to throw at you there too, which paint a similar picture, by the way. And as I've said before, and it's been said all over YouTube and TikTok, 64% of single men are single by choice and no longer even try. Now you get over to the women's side, and that number is closer to 30%. And most of them still try. So how do you have 64% of men being intentionally single? How do you get that to be the case, and at the same time women are single at a much lower percentage. Why doesn't the math? Well, Professor Simpademic is here to tell you that it is because in the previous example, we had the women chasing the top 4% of Chads, but in reality, in relationships, that same dynamic carries over. And here's the hard truth. Those 30% of men, the top 10% of men amongst, and then you mix them up with the 70% of women who say that they're dating or trying to date in relationships. The reason why the math doesn't add up is pretty simple. The women are sharing, whether they know it or not. Some of them probably gladly do it. Others are probably, blind to it. But they are sharing the Chads. They are sharing Chads and Tyrones. These top 5% of men who are 6'4", chiseled, and make $150,000 a year, these women share them. They think that they are in exclusive relationships when they probably are not. Why would a Chad commit to one of these women? Now, when they've got all the options in the world out there, as I've said in a previous episode, Chads date on easy mode. They get to play the game on easy mode. It's like playing rookie mode in Madden. Every pass gets caught. The defenders are on 40% speed, and every play works. This is the life of your typical Chad or Tyrone. With those kind of options available to them, because they're 6'4", because they're muscular, and because they have a six-figure income and drive a Porsche, women's hypergamy says that they have to have them. But these men have options. They do not need to commit. Why would they? Because, so these women, they might think they're in a relationship with them, but they're really not. They're sharing them. Typical Chad will probably run around with 3 or 4, maybe more, women who are stringing along and using for their bodies and getting what they want out of them before they cut them loose. This is why Professor Simpademic says that these numbers do not add up, and that's why. So take that information for what you will. If you want to be like me and don't want to play the game necessarily, that's cool. If you still play the game and continue to do this, or even try to get women's attention by simping for them, I would say stop. If you're on the dating apps and you're banging your head in the wall, stop banging your head in the wall and delete your account today. Because the math does not math, and your math chances of succeeding on a dating app are less than mine of finding that 1% miracle woman who has endured my adversity and hardships. My odds are better than yours. And mathematically, my odds are pretty long. Because I'm in a level of adversity and challenge and having overcome against long odds of maybe 1% of the American population. But still, my odds are better than yours on a dating app. Not gonna lie. I have a better chance of finding that miracle dream Lauren as you do of finding a true woman with good values on a dating app. It's not a joke, it's real. So anyhow, this is Professor Simpademic coming at you with the numbers and why the math doesn't math. And the correct answers are not ones that people necessarily like. Women get angry when they're confronted with these. But they're true. The dating apps themselves have the receipts. Not very hard to get. So anyhow, it's Jason on the Simpademic. Enjoy your Sunday, the rest of your weekend here. Get ready for tomorrow, for Monday. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, homies.